Okay, good afternoon. Today we're going to be working on a 3-step process to help you write your expository prompt. This is merely step 1, and it's the most important step, at least if you ask me, and this is actually busting the prompt. So we know that this is an expository prompt, so we need to explain something. So when you explain something, you're just kind of telling us why it is the way it is. You're not necessarily telling us if it's good or bad. So this is kind of like the difference between summary versus critique, right? Summary tells us what it is. Critique tells us if it's good or bad, right? So we're definitely more like a summary. We're explaining something. All right, so when you get to this place in your STAR test book, the first thing I want you to do is circle 3 words for me. Or actually circle 2 words and box 1. The first is read. The next is think. And then this write, I want you to box the entire sentence. Right? Because the read is telling you to read this information here, right here. We call this information evidence. You may actually use this information in your paper later on if you can't think of an example or if you can't think of any evidence. Right? This think is to get your brain going. We call this brainstorming. Right? And then this write, this is what you have to do. You have to write this. All right? So, we have a read, we have a think, we have a write. The very next thing I want you to do is to read the write statement, write an essay explaining why cell phones should not be allowed in school. Notice that it's not asking you if they should be, it's just telling you that they should not be allowed. So you don't get to critique, you don't get to say what you think, you just get to say this is why it is. So the very first thing I want you to do is change this into a question. So what I always tell my students is write an essay explaining and get rid of that. Always start with the interrogative. Why? Now you may have to change a little wording around here. So I always say, why should cell phones not be allowed in school? And then I'm going to put a question mark. Right. Great. I have my sentence now. Why should cell phones not be allowed in school? So the next thing I want to do is I want to answer this question in a complete sentence. We all remember answering things in a complete sentence. A teacher said, hey, what is your favorite color? You would say, my favorite color is blue, or whatever your favorite color is, right? So we're just going to basically answer this, right? Why should cell phones not be allowed in school? Cell phones should not
Student and teacher
be
started with
allowed
all Barbara Jordan students, please make your way to the front of the school. Again, all Barbara Jordan students, please make your way to the front of the school. Thank you.
And then usually I would ask you for 3, but today I'm going to only ask you for 2 reasons. So cell phones should not be allowed in school because reason 1 and reason 2. And we don't know those reasons yet, right? We don't know them yet because we're not quite sure. All right? So now we have to do kind of like a sub-step in here. I would probably just do it on this page just to be, kind of keep the same thing, which I will, okay? So I'm going to start by drawing a little box. And in the middle, I'm going to put cell phones because that's what we're talking about, cell phones in school. So I'm telling you, you're going to tell me the reasons why we shouldn't have cell phones in school. And you may say stuff like, oh, they're a distraction. And then you're going to give me a couple of examples, like, I don't know, let's make these boxes. Games, texting, airdropping, social media, Instagram, whatever, right? So all these things show how cell phones in school can be a distraction. All right. So another reason cell phones shouldn't be in school is because they start problems. Some of the problems we have because of cell phones: fights, theft, self-esteem, ADHD, what else? What other problems are caused by cell phones? I don't know. So we don't have to put anything. And then let's do one more just to be cool about it. Another reason cell phones shouldn't be allowed in school is they have distractions, they cause problems, and let's say safety. Right? So how can they make people unsafe? Well, people can bully. People can, for lack of a better term, meet up, right? Like I've had several kids who like, hey, go ahead and meet me at this place or whatever. People can threaten, right? All these other things. So now we have these things. And these are really my reasons in circles. And then my examples are in squares. Okay? So I'm going to look at these, and I probably am not going to do safety because those kind of go with other things. I could probably put that under problem. But I do like bullying. So I'm going to steal this and put this here, bully. Because it's a problem. All right? So now I know that my two problems are distractions and problems. So I'm going to think to myself, which one is the bigger problem? And for me, this is the bigger problem, right? So I'm going to leave this one for last. So now I'm going to say cell phones should not be allowed in school because they cause distractions and cause problems. Boom. Now I have the most important sentence of my whole paper. This is called my thesis. All right. So cell phones should not be allowed in school because they cause distractions and they cause problems. Boom. That's it. That's step one. Because once you know what you're writing about, the rest of it comes easy. All right. So this is step one. I'm going to go ahead and make a switch, and then I'll show you step two.